Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you 6 DIY trash to treasures that I worked on for my Valentine's Day and winter decor. If you like this kind of content, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel where I upload thrifting, decor, and DIY videos. And of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Nicole Northgarden. Here we go. So a quick note before we get started, when I created these DIYs, I worked on them several projects at a time. So I would paint one thing, and then while that was drying, I would move on to the next. So in the video, you might see a project get finished, but during the next section of project, you might see that project unfinished again, and that's why, because I was kind of doing them all at once, but it was less confusing to just show you each project one at a time when I went and edited the video. So that's just a little footnote. I hope you enjoy these projects. I needed to get them all done in a group like that because I wanted them done for my home tour, which I already posted. That posted on Tuesday, and if you haven't seen that and would like to see more of my decor and how I use my thrifted finds, I will try to link it above, and for sure I'll link it in the description box below. So I hope you enjoy these projects, and I hope you're having a fantastic winter and getting lots of inspiration for your home decor. Let's get to the projects.
For this first project, I wanted to upcycle this chalkboard into a sign to go on my new bookshelf that I was styling. I wanted it to have a wintry saying. Now the frame of the chalkboard was unfinished, so I went ahead and taped it off, and then I painted it first with black acrylic paint, and then I covered that with white chalk paint. And I often use this technique because I like the distressed look. And a lot of times, if there's no finish underneath white paint, when you sand it off, it really won't show anything through, and you really don't get that nice distressed effect. So painting the black first allows you to have something that will show through your white paint when you distress it. So I painted one coat of black acrylic and then 2 coats of white chalk paint. And it's actually linen white chalk paint by Rust-Oleum. It's not necessarily my favorite chalk paint, but you can buy it in quantity and it's easy to get because you can get it at Home Depot. So it's actually the paint that I wind up using a lot. And then when I was done, I lost the footage, sorry, but I wrote this phrase, "Silver white winters that melt into spring," and I used my new Arteza chalk markers that they sent me. I really love how this turned out, and I love how it looks on my new bookshelf. It's actually an old bookshelf that I upcycled. It was black and I painted it white. For my next project, I had this wooden black pedestal that I got at a thrift store back in the summer, and I wanted to use this in my family room decor on a table to lift up some of my decor. So it's a nice way to create vignettes and be able to raise some things up while other things stay at table level. So I had a leg up on this project. It was already dark, so I didn't need to put a dark coat under the white. So I painted 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum linen white onto the pedestal. And once it was painted, I got my 80 grit sandpaper, and that's what I usually use for distressing, or sometimes I'll wet distress, but I just didn't do that this time. So I sanded off the paint in the places where it seemed like it was raised and where it would naturally receive wear. And again, because the dark finish was underneath, it showed through nicely. I was really pleased with how it turned out. And then I placed a brown glass bottle with some greenery on top of it, as well as some milk glass and then a candle. And you can see down in front, I have a book and a little bowl and a little Christmas ornament that looks kind of Valentine-y. That's like the next level. And then on the table level, I have that fish planter. For my third project, I got this bird at a yard sale this summer. I wasn't thrilled with the green color, but I really like birds, and I'm often buying ceramic birds, so I thought, I could always paint it. So I finally decided to go ahead and do that, and I was looking for things to put on a tiered tray, so I thought instead of just painting the bird white, because I have lots of white birds, I'll paint this one pink for Valentine's Day. So I got my linen white chalk paint and my red chalk paint, and then some gray acrylic paint that I had, and I went ahead and mixed up a shade of pink. And actually the shade of pink you'll see me paint the bird here is darker than what I wound up doing in the end, but somehow I didn't record myself repainting it. So this is the first coat of paint and it was too pink. So you'll see in the next bit of footage, I actually went back and painted a lighter shade that I actually like a lot better. And I decided not to distress the bird at all. I just left it as it was. And I put it here in my 2-tiered tray that I created in the fall from yard sale finds and a Dollar Tree rolling pin. And this has served as my cocoa bar all winter. And so it's continuing to serve that way. But I wanted to have little pops on it of Valentine decor. So that's what the bird is doing for me there. For this next project, I'm using this key that I found at the bins. This is salvage from Target. A lot of the Target extras wind up at the bins, which is nice. So it's brand new. And I also found, which I'll show you in a little bit, a heart. It's kind of like a paper mache heart, and I found that at a thrift store. So those are the two things I'm using here. And for the key, I did the same technique. I went ahead and painted it black first with my acrylic paint. I actually wound up not distressing the key. But again, I told you I often do this underneath white paint just so I have the option to distress it if I want to. My son graciously recorded me doing this part of the project because this was when my tripod broke, but you can see the light pink paint on the bird, and that's the same paint I used to paint the heart. And once the black paint on the key was dry, I went ahead and painted the key with 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum linen white paint. And like I said, I decided not to distress the key, not for any reason other than I just liked the way that it looked when it was not distressed. And once the key was dry, I took this piece of wire. This was from an old Dollar Tree wind chime that I was no longer using. And I just coiled the end of it so that it wouldn't slip through that hole. And then I put it through the hole, and then I added some loops into the wire to give it just a little bit of whimsy, and coiled the other end of the wire. And to make the coils in the wire, I am using a needle nose plier. I find that that works the best, and you can use it on higher gauges of wire because this is a slightly thicker wire. I did distress the heart because if you remember, it had the dark red underneath, and it actually was kind of hard to distress. That paint stuck really well, but I got some of it to show through. So the heart is distressed, but the key is not. And then I just hot glued the wire to the heart. And I did have to sit there for a little while to let it dry. Then I got this pack of 3 little metal words from the Dollar Tree. One says love, one says XOXO, one says Valentine. And I decided to use the word love, and I glued it to the key, which I don't know why, but I don't have footage of that. And here is what it looks like all together. And I made this to go in the center of this wreath because I really love this wreath and I wanted to keep it out for winter, but I just wanted to add a little bit of Valentine whimsy to the center of it. For this next project, I got this divided crate. It's made for Target's dollar spot, but I got it at a thrift store probably a year ago. I think probably at Goodwill, and I've had it and I've intended to paint it and I just never got around to it. But I was really looking for a way to display some Valentine smalls, and I thought that this would be a neat way to do it. So again, I went ahead and painted black on the edges where it would receive distressing, where I thought it would naturally be distressed. And I didn't feel the need to paint the black on everything because I was only going to be sanding on the corners and on the edges. So did the 1 coat of black on those places, and then I did again the 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum linen white. And once that was done, I took my 80 grit sandpaper again, and I did the same thing. I just sanded off some of the white paint where I thought the piece might naturally receive some stress. And I didn't make it too chippy, but just a bit. You can kind of see. I really like that look. But again, I know some people don't like it, and you definitely don't have to do this to the project. You can just leave it white. And because this is unfinished wood, you definitely could go ahead and stain something like this as well if you prefer wood tones. This fit the place I had it in mind for really well. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. I had found that little Putz house at the Goodwill outlet bins in Valentine colors. I think it was probably meant for Christmas, but I wanted to display it for Valentine's Day. And this little crate allowed me to create this cute little display without it feeling cluttered because everything is contained in one place, so it doesn't feel cluttered, but the eye has a lot to look at. And I pulled some of my vintage angels, and then those hug blocks I actually got at the Target dollar spot years ago. I've had them for a long time. And for this final project, I've saved the best for last. I really love how this project turned out. So again, I found this. It's a Target dollar spot wooden house. I think it was put out for Christmas time. I got it at the Goodwill outlet bins, and I am using as a base, that's just the back of a picture frame that I didn't use for something else. So I just painted it white with my Rust-Oleum linen white. And then I got all these accessories from my craft bins. I have a wooden heart. I have this little ornament that I got at the Goodwill outlet bins. She came in a set of 3. She was also from Target. I took the little hanger out of her hat. And then I also have some white bottle brush trees that I got at Joann's Fabrics after Christmas at their like 70% off sale, I believe. And I pick bottle brush trees up anytime I find them, whether it's at the bins or on sale at the craft store, because they're so useful for many seasons. You really don't just have to use them for Christmas. So I was just figuring out how I wanted this to look, and I knew where I wanted the little girl to stand. I don't know why I didn't show you a close-up. I'm sorry, but she is holding a cupcake, and I thought she would be perfect in a Valentine craft. So I just figured where I wanted to put my little bottle brush trees, and I just used hot glue to glue them down. And the little wooden heart was wood colored, and so I just used my acrylic paint to paint it pink and stuck it on the top. And then I knew I wanted to add some embellishments to the little bottle brush trees. So I had this pack of red sequins that I think I received from a subscriber. And normally when I'm working with sequins or beads, I would use my wax stick. So there's actually these sticks with a ball of wax on the end, and they work really well for picking up sequins or beads, but I couldn't find mine. So I just used this little kitchen skewer, and you just lick the end of it, or you could use a cup if you're averse to licking things. You just put a little moisture on the end, and it picks up the sequins really well. And you know, it was a tedious process to glue these on one at a time, but crafting is not meant to be a fast process. That's why we do it. It's relaxing and time consuming. So I just went ahead and took my time and glued them on one at a time. And I was really pleased with how it looked with this little bit of embellishment on the bottle brush trees. And here was my cutie finished product. I really am enjoying this. My hubby really likes it too. And I've placed it with 2 other Target dollar spot houses that I've gotten at different time points. Actually, the one I recently picked up at the bins. And it all looks great on top of my little dresser here in the family room. And that's all that I have for you in this DIY Trash to Treasure video. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I took some of my thrifted finds and turned them into lovely little accents for my home for this winter and Valentine season. If you like this kind of content, I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button. I upload thrifting, decor, and DIY videos, and I would love to have you join me here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.